Power Rangers Royal Britannia, Chapter 4, White Dragon of Light. Deep underground in Merlin's cave, the Royal Britannia Rangers gathered around a mirror that acted as a portal to another realm. On the other side was an army of skeleton knights, skellies as they're known. And at the far back, two figures stood. One, a man, tall, bald-headed, and bulky with muscles. The other, a slender woman wearing pointed armour and a cloak. "That's her?" asked Artie. "Yes, it is, but why is she here?" said Merlin. "It's me she's here for." "Me?" said Mark, and everyone looked at him. "Think about it. We have fought Mordred many times, but it's been a close battle. Then I kick his butt with the Sword of Darkness and make him run for his mummy. The only problem is, his mummy is an evil witch hell-bent on world domination." Everyone nodded in agreement. "We can stop them, but just in case, Merlin, think you could ask Udama to watch our backs if anything goes wrong?" asked Artie. "I will. Now go, Rangers. Good luck." Merlin moved out the way while Artie, Sam, Jordan, and Jeff raised their wrists and span the coins on them. "Go, Royal Britannia!" Mark also raised his morpher and said, "Colonel Bisvicken!" The five walked through the mirror into the magical world. Before them was more skellies than they had ever seen. "We need a plan. How about the normal plan? Blast some skellies. End of." "Jeff, this isn't the time. This is different," said Artie, thinking of how to stop the army ahead of them. "Okay, Jeff, Sam, Jordan, you take on the skellies. Mark, you and me take on Gruesome and her son. And Mark, bust out the power weapons. Sword, axe, lance, daggers. If we're going all in, best do it at our strongest," Artie ordered. "Right. Red, black, yellow, blue, ranger power, sword, axe, lance, dagger," Mark said as he pressed the coin 4 times. Sam grabbed the lance, Jeff the axe, Jordan the daggers, Artie grabbed the power sword. Mark drew the dragon dagger and saber. "Let's do it, Rangers," said Artie, and they ran towards the army, splitting off into groups. Sam, Jordan, and Jeff headed to the skellies. Mark and Artie headed to the hill that Morgana and Mordred stood on, and 100 skellies between them and the 2 rangers. "How you feeling, Mark?" asked Artie. "Well, I'm glad I didn't have a pasty for lunch," said Mark with a grin. "Let's do this," they both said, and charged at the skellies. Mark and Artie began to fight their way towards Morgana and Mordred, slicing down skellies one by one. "Mark, look," Artie said as he pointed to a thin line of skellies. "We need a way to punch through." "I got an idea, but Jeff's not going to like me," said Mark. On the other side of the battlefield, Sam, Jordan, and Jeff were clearing the rest of the skellies. Together, Sam and Jordan used the power lance and power daggers. Splitting the lance in 2, Sam passed 1 half to Jordan, and she passed 1 dagger. As always, with them, their fight looked more like a dance, as they stuck multiple skellies with their heads rolling away. Jeff was swinging the axe down on some other skellies. Then he raised the axe above his head and intended to bring it down to cause a shockwave, knocking the skellies down. However, he swung his arm down, not knowing the axe had disappeared, and flew forward onto his face. If it wasn't for his helmet, he would have been eating dirt. Back over with Mark and Artie. "Black Ranger, power axe!" The axe appeared in front of Mark. "I didn't think that would work. Quick, put the sword on top." Artie did what Mark said, and they stood next to each other. "And fire!" they cried. A blast of red and black energy shot from the end of the axe, blasting a hole in the skelly's line. Jeff had come over and hit Mark in the back of the head. He grabbed the axe, removed the sword, passed it to Artie, and said, "Ask next time," and walked back to where the girls were fighting. "Sensitive soul, isn't he?" said Mark. "Well, he is Welsh," replied Artie. The massive form of Mordred pushed through what was left of the Skellies, followed by his mother, Morgan Le Fay. "Time for you to die!" He brought his sword crashing down. Mark and Artie jumped out of the way. Saba flew high and blasted him with his lasers, while Mark sliced the green dagger into his armour, right behind Artie's powered-up power sword, with red energy, and fired at Mordred, knocking him back. Morgana raised her staff and sent a blast that pushed the two rangers back. "You know not what you face, rangers. You have one choice. Hand over the Cornish ranger and the sword of darkness, and I will let the rest of you live." "Not today, witch," shouted Sam, as the three others charged them with their power weapons. "You two okay?" asked Jeff. "Really, Sam, was there any need?" Jordan said to her. "What? I said witch, not—" "No time for this. She's strong. What do we do?" interrupted Artie. "One idea, but you're not going to like it," said Mark. "The sword of darkness. Too much of a risk, Mark. You can't handle the dark energy," Artie said. "My good energy. My light. Whatever you want to call it. May not, but what about all of us? What if we combine our energies? Rangers, I hear you. This might work, but there is one risk. If you fail, you will all lose your powers for good," came Merlin's voice in their heads. "Okay, what do you want us to do, Mark?" asked Artie. "Pour all your energy, all of your power, into me, while I summon the sword of darkness." "Mark, this is crazy," said Sam. "There's got to be another way," said Jordan. "There's always a bigger fish." They all looked at Jeff. "Sorry, I'm nervous. Let's do this," he said. They gathered around Mark, their hands on him. "Power of England, power of Scotland, power of Wales, power of Ireland. Combine, power of Cornwall. Green Ranger, power sword of darkness." Energy flowed off of each ranger into Mark. As it did, their ranger forms disappeared. They struggled to stand, as the energy drain caused them pain, as if their very souls were being pulled out of them. A blinding light and an energy wave pushed the four away. Blinded by the light, the rangers looked on. As the light died down, Mark could be seen standing and glowing, but different. His ranger form had changed. Instead of red with gold armbands, he was pure white. The shield with the Cornish flag on was still there. The biggest change was his helmet. The white cross now sat on the back of the helmet. The front looked like a dragon's mouth, with a visor set in the centre. "Mark, are you okay?" Sam asked. Mark turned, tilted his head, and gave a thumbs up. "Okay, Morgana, let's see how you handle the white Cornish dragon," said Mark. He leapt towards them. Mordred tried blocking, but with one swing of his sword, Mark knocked the knight down, smashing his armour. Morgana raised her staff in defence, but it wasn't enough. Mark sliced the sword down, breaking the staff in two. Then, with a spinning heel kick, sent her flying. "Mother, no!" Mordred cried. Mark stuck the sword in the ground and charged an energy ball, his hand cupped at his side. "Oh, come on, Mark." "DBZ, really?" said Jordan. "This ends now, Morgan Le Fay. You shall not pass!" And he fired. one massive explosion and a scream from Morgana, the fight ended. Morgana got up, her army gone, her staff broken. "This isn't the end, Rangers. You haven't seen the last of me." And she vanished, along with Mordred. Everyone gathered around Mark. "You look incredible, Mark," said Jeff. "How does it feel?" asked Sam. "Like a greater power than we had. More than the morphing grid. More like mega grid? Or something." Mark took a deep breath. The 4 energy beams came off him and he changed back into his red Cornish Ranger form. The beams returned to the others, their energies back to normal. "That's better. Took a lot out of us, like not just our powers, but more," Artie said, rubbing his hands. "Lord of the Rings, hey?" said Jordan, with a look at Mark. Couldn't resist. But Artie's right. If we use this power again, have to be on an as needed. "Definitely," they all said, and walked back to where the entrance to the human world was, a sense of victory in the air. Many weeks later, and miles from the UK, Silver Hill, Washington, 6 Rangers were fighting a 7th Blue Ranger. "Jen, watch out!" shouted the Red Time Force Ranger. "Wes, help!" cried the Pink Ranger. "No, Jen! Quantum Defender, fire!" said a second Red Ranger, firing on the Royal Blue Ranger as she sucked the energy from the 4 other Rangers. A flash of light, the Royal Blue Ranger was knocked back, and she vanished. The Quantum Ranger and the Red Ranger powered down. Wes kneeled by the body of Jen, the Pink Ranger. "She's got a pulse. Quick, Eric, we've got to get her to a hospital." "Right, I'm on it," said Eric. Wes pushed a button on his morpher and said, "Time Force Red to Zeo Blue. Rocky, call the council. We've got a problem."